Good to have Jared Berry back.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, he hasn't played much this year, so in the past he's been a really important part of our team, and he was able to get through the practice match last week and trained well this week. So we're looking forward to see what sort of contribution he can make.
He came back in, kind of re-injured his hamstring, and then went back out. And now he's back in. Is there a long-term lingering issue there, or?
So let's get it straight. He didn't re-injure his hamstring. He did a little calf strain. It was a different injury. So and it was very, very minor, and we were very conservative when we left him out for a week. So it wasn't a re-injury, and he's never actually done a hamstring this year. He's had groin soreness. Yeah, sorry.
Thanks. How do you see him kind of fitting into your lineup? Because I think he came back and kind of went more into the wing, or do you want him playing more inside? Where do you see his role coming back?
Oh, look, I think he can do either of those things. He's just a good midfielder for us. He's got a great tank and he's a good inside player, so he'll play in all of those positions during the game.
How much of a concern is the form in terms of the results over the last couple of weeks, or are you confident the performance is still there and you're not too worried about it?
Coaches always don't like losing, and we tend to worry more when we lose than when we win. But I look back on this year and I'm really proud of what our players have done. We were 1 win and 3 losses. The previous 2 years we were 3 wins and 1 loss after 4 games, so we're in a little bit of trouble. So what the group's been able to do over the last 10, 12, 13 weeks is quite extraordinary, really. And hopefully you've noticed how even the competition is. You look at it now, and Collingwood are winning games, and North Melbourne are winning games, and so are Hawthorn, and so are the Gold Coast Suns. It's a really even competition. And you tend to think that the top side should win every week and the bottom side should lose every week, but that's not how the comp is. I've never seen it more even. So, for us to go through a period after being 1 and 3 to win 10 and lose 3, I think that's pretty solid form. And even in our losses, we've been in those games up to our necks. So the answer is I'm proud of the boys. I know I've given a long answer. I'm proud of the boys. I'm happy with where we're at, not happy to be have lost a couple of games, but you always learn a few things from those, and hopefully that'll help us going forward.
Top 4 is always important, but is it still the overall goal for you guys?
We're just trying to win each week, and wherever we finish up, we finish up. The only bit you can control is your own bit. If you're sort of trying to play and worrying about what other teams win or lose, then you're in a bit of trouble. So our focus is just entirely on playing against the Gold Coast this weekend, who are in really good form. So, yeah.
Try and find a little bit of form back, obviously. There's been a few guys potentially down on their best the last couple of weeks, but the opportunity to come back home after a month away, and the boys lifted this venue in particular.
Yeah, I mean, we like playing at home, but you can't think that that's just going to be the reason why we play better on Saturday night. There has to be a lot more to it than that. And we've got to give credit to our opposition the last 2 weeks too. You guys talk like St Kilda and Richmond aren't very good sides and that we should have won those games. Richmond have won 3 of the last 4 premierships. They're pretty good, especially when they bring their best, which they did last week. So, even the last 2 weeks we've been in those games and just fallen away a little bit lately. It's been a solid 6 weeks for us. I think we've been at the Gabba once in the last 6 weeks, so we've been all over the place. So yeah, we still think we're in good shape, and we're just looking forward to bouncing back.
Having a week without having to travel and being at home, and I guess a normal routine, or what you'd say is a normal routine, have you noticed any extra energy, or what have you felt this week?
It's been nice to be at home. It's always better when you're at home and doing your normal things for everybody at the footy club, staff included. So that's a positive. But as I say, that's not going to help us tomorrow night. We've got to bring effort and enthusiasm and teamwork and all of those sorts of things. So that's what we're looking forward to bring. And then if we go well tomorrow night, we'll all say that it was good to have a week at home.
There was obviously the scare with Lockie earlier in the week. How tough and how resilient has he had to be this season, given all the various bumps and knocks and everything he's played with?
He has had a lot of injuries, that's for sure. So it's been probably the most challenging year for him in that regard. But he's found a way to fight through it. as you saw on Tuesday training, he got a bit of a knock on the shoulder. That's happened 3 or 4 times since he actually had the injury, so it's a bit of a stinger. It's not there's a reaction in the first couple of minutes and then it settles down. So he's going to play on with it. That's the sort of guy that he is, full of courage and character.
Yeah, you mentioned the shoulder thing that's happened a couple of times. He had surgery at Freo a couple of years ago. Is that stopping the shoulder coming out? Is that what that surgery was?
No, I think they do some pretty good surgeries these days. I think a lot of guys have that, whatever, I don't know what it's called, but there's a particular method that they use. Yes, so his shoulder's intact. Hasn't come out at all at any stage. It just pinches every now and then on him. Yeah.
You talked about the form that some teams have shown the last couple of weeks. How have you assessed, where they're at this season, heading into tomorrow as well, which is another Q clash and a big match? Yeah, well, obviously I've watched them their last 3 games. It's usually what you do coming into a fixture against whatever team, and they've beaten Richmond. They played particularly well against the Western Bulldogs last week, and they beat the Giants up at Ballarat. So they're improving, and they have been improving for a few years now. It's just that sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly as what everyone thinks it should. But I have total respect for what Dewey and those guys are doing down there, and we're expecting a red-hot competition tonight. They clearly want to finish off the season strongly, and we're aware of that. So we're looking forward to the game.
Where are you expecting Archie to play? Is back or forward? He's been a bit of Mr. Fix-It at times.
No, not going to tell you. Why should I tell you? You want to know where everyone else is playing too? Oh, well, it's a reasonable question. We'll just see what happens tomorrow night. All right?
It's still not an answer.
Dean and Jackson obviously kind of been in and out of the side a little bit this year. What do you want to see from them? Obviously, potentially going back to the twos this week.
Both of them are young players. They're just starting out their careers, and part of when you start out your career is that your form can be a little bit inconsistent, and we feel like they've just been a little bit off the boil lately. So all we expect of them is just to go back to the reserves and refine their form and their energy, and hopefully bring them back in at some other stage. But we're really pleased with their progress, and that's been one of the great things this year. If there is a great side to having a few injuries, is that other guys get a chance to come in and play. So you build a little bit of density and depth in your list through those misfortunes.
After a couple of weeks like this, to have Berry back, you look for little positives. He's not going to be the saviour, but it's nice to have this sort of addition to the squad. Yeah. Well,
it's good to be getting players back rather than losing players. That's for sure. That helps. But it's not going to just rely on Jared Berry. I mean, he hasn't played since. Well, he played against Adelaide the other week and hasn't played since round 5. So it'll be hard to expect that he's going to hit his best form for a little while. But we want to try and get him back and going. So getting him involved now with a few weeks to go is pretty important, I think.
The guys yesterday were saying that it's fixable what has happened over the last couple of weeks, and as you said, didn't lose by much, but everything that's happened, it's fixable. So there's no panic stations here at all, is there?
No, we just need to be more consistent. We played some really good footy over the last couple of weeks, but we just weren't able to sustain it for whatever reason for 4 quarters. Part of it is really good opposition, and part of it is a football season goes for 6 months. And it's really, really hard to be in great form for 6 months. Tell me a team that's done it. Nobody has. All teams have their ebbs and flows, and we just put ourselves under a bit of pressure at the start of the year. Being 1 and 3, there wasn't much room to move. So you guys are onto us every time we lose, which is not very often.
Hey, there's a lot of clubs and teams now in Queensland in various sports. Obviously, a lot of Australia's locked down at the moment. We've seen some breaches in other sports and across the kind of country. Is this something that you guys ever have to re-talk to your players about, their responsibility to following the rules and keeping the game going kind of thing? Yeah, well Danny Daly, our footy manager, and Mitch Lane, our COVID officer, we're regularly talking to our players about what they can and can't do, and it's a changing landscape. So different rules, different weeks. So it's a challenge, but I think we're doing a really good job as a club to make sure that our players are doing the right thing, and our staff, and hopefully those words don't come back to haunt me, but we are doing our best. We take it seriously. Like you can't take for granted, it's something that...
No, you can't. Well, we've seen during the week, just some players go and get a cup of coffee at a shop, and they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're out for a couple of weeks. So it seems a big price to pay, but that's the life that we have at the moment, and we just got to adapt to it.
Chris, Zach was saying yesterday that after the loss last week, there was a team meeting. Was that is that just is that like normal after every game, or was it like extra because of the loss? Or
No, we have about 14 meetings a week, and Zach made that sound like it was a special team meeting, but it was just the review that we always do on a Monday, and every Monday we always look at what we've done well and what we haven't done so well. So the review on Monday was of a similar nature to all the other reviews that we've done this year. So yeah.
That was his first press conference too. Is he in trouble?
No, he's not. No, he answered the question honestly. Yeah, we did have a meeting and talked about what happened, but that's what we always do.